Good afternoon. Yes, afternoon. It's been a crazy morning. Woke up to a leak coming out of our overhead light. Found out that we've got a roof issue. Spent most of the morning putting buckets underneath drips and calling roofers. So, yay. Now I am heading into the office because there's only so much that I can get done working from home, and I need to go sort some things out. Because of that, this will be a very odd episode of D&D and Drive, because we're going to have a D&D and Drive-Thru because I need food. So in just a few minutes, you'll get to have whatever questions you probably never had answered about what a overweight, fat, white DM nerd has for lunch. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've always been asking yourself that question. In the meantime, though, we'll start about the recap of last night's game. We started out with finishing off the issues with the Ogre Brothers. As you know from previous videos, Bill died. His brothers were very upset about all of this. A series of events happened. Part of the deal with them possibly sticking around was they wanted to draw from the deck themselves. There were a few odd motivations going on there, but the group didn't necessarily ask what their motivations all were, so that never really came out. But in the end, we ended up with the two ogres instead being a half-demon ogre and a gnome. Yeah. And we then ended up with a small altercation arriving when they got back onto the ship, where, seeing a big demon guy, people started drawing weapons, and with the turn of events that obviously they were not going to be trusted, the brothers left. And seeing the big demon guy, the group let them. Which, I'm going to be honest, was probably not the worst move they could have had. The same card that turned Grubby into, that gave him the half-demon template, also shifted his alignment to chaotic evil. Now, they didn't know that in character, but it would have made for a few problems along the way. From there, they set out from Night to Maj. Passed through Maj fairly uneventfully. They did stop, as had been previously discussed, and used Yoki's magic item to basically draw a marker from their location to Osterna, ostensibly. Basically, he's a bounty hunter, and he has a weapon, a sword, that actually allows him to meditate on a specific individual, and the sword will float up off the ground and point like a compass in the direction of that individual. And it is really starting to come in handy for them for what they're trying to do here, because obviously there is no known path to Osterna. There is no flow that leads there. So they're looking at having to navigate across empty space with no markers to go by. So what they're trying to do is triangulate points of reference so that they know how to set a course. It's still going to be somewhat dangerous because they're plotting points of reference over hundreds of thousands of miles, and they're doing it off the angle that the sword's pointing at. So there is still a chance that things could go wrong, but with each point that they get from a different location to add to the triangulation, they are reducing that risk somewhat each time. Now, you'll have to excuse me just a minute because I've just reached the drive-thru. And it's raining.
Well, some McDonald's, what can I get you?
Yeah, can I get a 20-piece nugget box, large fry, large Coke, and a cheeseburger with no pickles?
2 minutes. Hiya, what can I get you?
Sorry, I just said that I want to get a 20-piece nugget box,
Yeah?
a large fry, large Coke, and a cheeseburger, no pickles.
Cheeseburger and what, sorry?
No pickles.
No pickles. And what sauce with your nuggets?
Barbecue, please.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, make way to the first window then. Thank you.
Thank you. Was my order too complicated for the first person? I don't know. Yep. Thank you. I really don't get why that took 2 people. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. No, thanks. I will never understand why it takes that many people just to get an order right. I worked in fast food when I was younger. It's not complicated. Sometimes young people today really worry me. And I know I sound 60 when I'm saying that. Tough, it's still true. I'm just gonna pull in here for a second and sort this stuff out. And I'm gonna decline that call. So, yeah, they got their point of triangulation. They progressed onward from Maj to Malhavik. And in Malhavik, a few things. First off, they got wind of some more news on Yoki's network. Now, because he is a bounty hunter, he is a registered, licensed bounty hunter, he has access to information networks that most people don't have. And that means that from time to time I am able to provide him some information that might be useful, or it might not be useful. That's the best part of it sometimes. About what's going on. All sorted. Now, what's going on at the moment is that he has already had word that Brawl was under attack. Now he gets word that in another part of space entirely, but quite close to actually where they're headed, there's been an invasion of devils. And they've actually taken an entire sphere and seem to be preparing to spread to other nearby spheres. Now, this is a problem because one of the other nearby spheres is one of the places that they need a triangulation point from. Not great. So, what they do is they decide to leave the ship where it is for a moment and plane shift to this sphere, get the triangulation point, and leave again before the devils get there. They get there. Yoki starts the ritual to get the triangulation point. While he's doing so, the other members who went with him, we had Vorian, we had Mr. X, and we had one of his NPC crew. They start helping out with the preparations that these people are doing, knowing that they're going to be invaded any time. And while they're there, they then meet up with a group of NPCs, a group of people who are seeking Osterna. Ostensibly, they overhear a conversation. An elderly immortal, a Cyclops, and a Regon. A Regon being out here is very odd because, well, the Regon make sure they never leave their world. So, of course, they walk over to talk to them. They start talking. They find out that the old man, who's leaning on a sword very heavily, a very impressive sword, mind you, is in fact seeking Osterna, and is in fact specifically seeking Sveltnam, Old Man Winter. They also find out that they notice quite quickly the Regon attempts to put shackles on Vorian. Fails because they all spot what he's doing before he has a chance to do so. He then announces that he has been sent by the Rhaegar to inform Vorian that he has been deemed a fallen god and that he must return to his people. This is also when they found out that the Regon was actually one of our new player characters. Which actually reminds me that I skipped over the meeting that they had with the other new player character, who is a Merid, a water genie, who basically arrived while they were in before they left Night, and swore himself to the ship's service, explaining basically that a magic user had bound him to their service and ordered him to come and join them. So yeah, they meet with this Regon, who basically tells Vorian that he has to come back, that it is the will of his people, that he has a responsibility. Vorian basically says no. And he says, well, others will come in and force you to come back, but I am here to tell you to come back, and if you are not going to come back, I must follow you and continually remind you to come back until you do. And Vorian basically says, well, fine, you can follow me, but I'm not going back. And they managed to speak to these three. The three of them all ended up coming back to the ship with them, where they had another conversation with Old Man Blade, and found out that he was one of the bards of Harmony, and that he was trained by Sveltnam. I'm not sure how much they realized as a group the implication there that Sveltnam is also then one of the Bards of Harmony. I'm not sure if they actually made that connection in character or not. So we'll see. And from that was pretty much where we ended. We spent a lot of time in kind of dialogue introducing the new characters. There was a lot of confusion between the Merid joining the crew and what that meant and why he was there and all of that. But all in all, a fairly good session. They got 2 spheres closer to Austerna. They got 3 navigation points for Austerna. They found out a bit more about kind of what's going on in the world. They got a little information about Brawl. They got information about the new Devil invasion. And the big picture is starting to take shape a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good day.